Hey guys, Full Throttle here, and today, well, sorry for the very long absence. Just didn't have much data to record videos for a while, so that was the problem. But now, have enough storage to do this video. So yeah, here's a deck that I have been seeing a lot of success with recently. So get ready for that, and let's get into that right now. So, for our grade zeros, as our starting Vanguard, we run Extreme Battler Kabutron. Kabutron's skill is Generation Break 1, Counterblast 1 on the rearguard circle, and put Kabutron into your soul. At the end of the battle, this unit boosted an attack on the Vanguard. You may pay the cost. If you do, stand 1 rearguard, and then give it plus 2,000 power. This is very good for the deck right now because, well, Rumble used to be great, but now that you have Exxcessive, you really don't need that, and also because of Unior. So, yeah, that's why you should run Kabutron as your starter. So, for our triggers, we run the obvious 4 copies of Break Pass because it's a skill crit for Victor, so that's very nice. 4 copies of, so first up, there are very few decks that should run draws, but this is one of them because when you run draws, you should be running them not for consistency, because if you're doing that, then you're wrong. Because draws don't help consistency because they make everything in the deck more consistent, which makes nothing in the deck more consistent. So that's the problem. So then, you should run draws for hand mass. If your deck likes mass over quality, like this deck does, that's when you should be running draws. So 4 copies of 3 minutes, very nice artwork. One of my favorite draw triggers in the game, just because of his artwork. 2 copies of the Gong, 2 copies of, 6 draws, 2 copies of Red Lightning, which is the rearguard circle, shove it in your soul, countercharge 1, always nice to have. And because it replenishes 2 resources at the same time that the deck uses a lot of. And then 4 copies of Extreme Battler Gunseal. Gunseal is the new heal trigger. Its skill is Soul Blast 1 auto. When it's discarded to guard with Gundreed, then you may pay the cost if you do, and you have, you may pay the cost if you have 1 or less face-up damage, then you can countercharge 1. Very nice, because then you can then go into a Unior. If you have 2 heals in hand, you can do that, and then you can go into Unior, so you can get 2 soul for your turn, so you can call Arbarail. So that's very nice. So that's why we run this guy, because he's also able to make it so that you can just replenish your resources more quickly. The deck really now lets you just burn up all your resources and then replenish them. So it's very nice. You should definitely run this guy. You don't want to miss out on him. So let's go into the grade 1s. Some people will be like, wait, why aren't you running Lady Cyclone? Lady Cyclone's a good countercharger. So first up, the deck gets a lot of countercharge now, so you don't really need her countercharge. And also, this gives the deck more defense, and Nova Grappler is a deck that has no defense. So giving the deck even a little bit more defense is very helpful because of its Generation Break 1 Guardian Circle ability of, if you have another copy of it in the drop zone, give a rearguard, counterblast 1 at the beginning of the guard step of a battle that your Vanguard is attacked. You may pay the cost if you do. Move this unit from the rearguard circle to the guardian circle, give it plus 10,000 shield. Very good for the deck because that's like an extra G guard, so that's very nice. You definitely want to run this guy. You don't want to miss out on him because nowadays he is just so good. He used to be terrible, but now he's just so good. And then we run 4 copies of Extreme Battler Malyaki, which is continuous Generation Break 1. All units in this, all units in the same column as this unit get, if you have a Victor Vanguard, then they all get Rush. When When this unit stands due to the effect of one of your cards, it gets the red text skill of when this unit attacks a Vanguard, choose 2 units, give them plus 4,000 power. This can stack so that then you can give 2 units plus 4,000 twice. So then you can just keep on giving more and more power as it keeps standing. So that's a very nice ability. Definitely want to run this guy at 4. Then 4 copies of Arashid, Stride Fodder, deck likes it. 2 copies of Furious Puncher. You don't run it for the second skill, you run it for the first skill, which is a rush ability. When this unit stands, due to the effect of one of your cards, choose one of your other units, give it plus 5,000 power until end of turn. Very nice ability. Makes it so that, for example, if it's behind a Cool Hank, you just get more power. Well, you just get more power on that column. Very nice. You definitely want to run this guy. And when GBT 11 hits, you want to run Connell instead of this. This is the wiggle room slot, so you're more open to choose what you want. But this is my preference on, well, what I want to be seeing in my deck. So let's go into the grade 2s. For our grade 2s, this is standard in a Victor deck. You want to have this 1-to-1 ratio of 1 restanding rear guard and one rear guard that restands another rear guard, and then 1 restand target. You want to have a 1-to-1 ratio for those in your grade 2 lineup. So we run 4 copies of Extreme-battle or Sever-temper. It's like Sazanda, but better because it's rush. So that means Exxcessive can target it, and it has the GB1 ability of if you drive check a grade 3, then choose one of your opponent's rear guards in the front row with equal or less power than Sever-temper, retire it. Very nice, because it gives the deck some level of control, which is a very good thing. 3 copies of Cool Hank, because also 3 copies of Arbarail. So you want to run, well, I run 3 and 3. You can switch it around to 4 and 2, 4 and 2, whichever one you want to do. It doesn't really affect how it works. Pretty much the same effect on it, so that's what really doesn't matter. And then 2 copies of Sazanda. So with this one, for Sazanda, it's just when it stands, do the effect of your card, gets plus 5,000 power until end of turn. Counter +1, Soul Blast, and then Arbarail is counter +1, Soul Blast 1 auto when it's placed on the rearguard circle. If you have a Victor Vanguard, gets plus 2,000 power, and the red text ability of once per turn auto rearguard circle. When it attacks a Vanguard, choose one of your rearguards, stand it, give it plus 5,000 power. Cool Hank has that, except it has to be boosted, and it's not on call. It can just be used multiple turns. It can be used like every turn, but once per turn. So yeah, you just want to have. I have 6/6, but you can change the ratios of on the self-contained ratios. You can change them, but on the main ratio, like the broadest, like the vague ratio, you want to keep those the same. But the more specific ratios you can change if you want. So yeah, let's go into the grade 3s. So for our grade 3s, we run 4 copies of Exxcessive because it's our ideal ride. You want that because not only does it have a rush, so that means it's a viable rear guard, it's also your ideal ride because it stands 2 rear guards. So it stands a full column, which means, and it doesn't use a counterblast, so that means it's a very, very good Vanguard. So that's why you should run that. And then 3 copies of Exxtreme because it has Victor in its name and it's not a bad card. It's just not as good as Exxcessive. So yeah, that's our grade 3 lineup. Let's go into the G Zone. For our G Zone, we run 2 copies of Meteokaiser Bustered because it is your first stride. You want this to be your first stride almost all the time. Like, this is something that you can't cut out of your deck. This is important at 2 copies because it's a first stride that does something. Because it's counterblast 1 auto when it attacks, then choose as many rear guards as there are face-up copies of Bustered in the G Zone, restand them. So yeah, that's why you want to run it. 4 copies of Victoplasma because it's a restander that doesn't require any other conditions, so it's very good. You can possibly do it first stride if you have enough counterblast to do it. It's very nice first stride though, but it's also very costly. Then 4 copies of Meteokaiser. Meteokaiser is not a first stride, even though it's a even though you're able to flip on the first stride, you do not want to stride this on your first stride. Terrible first stride. If anything gets cut, 2 copies of this will get cut. This is staying, this is staying, this is the only thing that might get moved to 2. So be very aware of that, because I might cut 2 of these for like Dryger and Seabreeze, depending on what happens. So yeah. Then 1 copy of Favorite Champ Victor, because, well, you only need 1, because if you end up striding it twice, well, if you end up failing the first time you stride it, you're screwed. You really want to use this guy. He's a very good card. Although, you're not too likely to stride him consistently, but you do want to stride him. That's why you run draws. 4 copies of Unior. Well, no, not 4. 2 copies of Unior. Unior, great card. You should definitely run 2, because it's just so helpful for getting back your resources. 1 copy of Gundreed, because Gundreed is so good, especially with, for example, well, first up, it flips over a G-Guard, so that means that it allows for Champ to get a little bit closer. Then, it also, well, it makes Champ a little bit stronger than normal. It also helps with just Headstrong-battle, because it makes Headstrong-battle free. Then, 1 copy of Dizmel, obvious reasons, because it's Nova Grappler. 1 copy of Blue Prison, because it's an easy shield, especially in the late game. So that's why you should run this as your G-Zone, or cut 2 copies of Meteor Victor for a Dryger and a Seabreeze. So yeah, that's our G-Zone. As always, thank you for watching. If you like this video, be sure to give it a like. If you want to give any suggestions or want to say anything to me, put that in the comments section. If you didn't like this video, then dislike if you want. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. As always, I am Full Throttle, signing out.